What's up YouTube? This is Corndog from Epic Action Gaming, and I'm going to tell you how I brought yellow Luke Skywalker to my local showdown and was able to secure a top 4 spot. I think this deck has a ton of potential, and I'm going to go over some of the reasonings on the cards that I played in this deck, what I think about some of the matchups, and why I think that yellow is actually superior to the green version. So first off the bat, right off the bat, I played Luke Green in my last store showdown and went 3-2. I did pretty well with it. I liked the deck. It just, something felt like it was missing. I don't know. I played Green Han in my first showdown and did very well with that list. I feel like Green Han is just a better deck than Luke Green, but I think this Luke Yellow deck has some real potential because I think the blue base allowing you to play Luke Skywalker naturally is really good. So I'm gonna get into the deck. First up, we run 3 Greedo. If you're running yellow, this is just an easy include. I don't run it in all my Han lists, but in a deck where you're wanting to be the control player, be able to take something out for 3, this is where you're going to want to be. So having that early 1-drop is very nice. He doesn't get the shield, unfortunately, unless Luke is flipped, but that isn't a big deal. It's that 3 stat right there to be able to trade with a Battlefield Marine or a Viper Probe Droid or anything like that. And there was some funny plays during the match with this card that I'll talk about a little bit later. Next up, I ran the full 3 Restored Arc. Having this little bit of restore goes a long way. In round 1, I played against a Leia red deck, and I restored probably 6 health off of this single card. It came in very nicely for me. I really like Restored Arc. Plus, it is a heroic card, so it can get a shield from Luke if you play it on turn 3. Lothal Insurgent, another 3-statted turn 1 play. And if you do play it on turn 2, you do have the option of giving it a shield, and if you do play a card before it, you can have them draw a card and discard a card at random. I like this card mainly because it's a 2-drop and it has 3 power. That's the main reason it's in this deck. No other reason besides that. Next up, we don't get to play the 3-drop Green Sentinel, so we're playing Cloud City Wingguard. I like this card a lot. It's a 2/4, so a lot of things, if they go Fleet Lieutenant and attack into it for 5 and get rid of it, then you just save yourself 5 damage and tap down both of their things essentially to get rid of this one card. I think this card is very overlooked. I like it being a 3-cost, something to do on turn 3 just to get you to the late game. And like I said, with Luke, once he's deployed, he can give anything a shield, so that's very nice. I like Cloud City Wingguard. So the Sentinels is a pretty big theme in this deck. Next up, we've got Yoda. The Restore 2, it can't be overstated enough in the aggro matchups. It kind of puts them in a place where they either have to take him out or they have to outrace the 2 restore every time. And if they do take him out, you get to draw a card. I really like Yoda at first. When I first started playing the game, I wasn't too huge on him, but he's grown on me a lot. He's a Force user, the Restore 2, and he only has 2 attack, but even in the control matchups, if they take him out, you get to draw a card, and that's just where you're wanting to be in the control matchup. So this deck has a pretty good control matchup. I played against 2 Idens in the tournament. I beat a mid-range Iden green, and I beat a very hard control Iden green. Another Iden green, but it was more of just the control variant. One of the big boons of playing yellow over green is you get to play Millennium Falcon. It's heroic, so you can also shield this. Against control, this is the card you want. You could bounce it back to your hand to escape any super laser blasts, anything tricky. It applies way more damage than a Bright Hope ever would dream of applying, and I don't miss that second Sentinel in space because I have Millennium Falcon. If they play a second, if Yellow Sabine, Green Sabine, whatever plays a second air unit, space unit, you drop the Falcon, you get to take it out immediately. There's other cards in this deck that make it stronger. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but Millennium Falcon is an amazing card to be able to play with yellow Luke. And you're just trying to stall until you can get into your Luke turn, and then go from there. Next up, 3 system controlled craft. It's got a 3/4 body, so like we said, Bright Hope is a 2/6. This is a 3/4. Sometimes that 3 actually matters a lot for being able to take out the opponent as soon as they swing, or applying even more pressure. So even though we don't have some of the bigger green units, our blue units, actually blue and yellow units, can do more damage quicker. Kanan Jarrus, another all-star of the deck. You'll also find this in the green variant. His on-attack ability lets you discard a card from the opponent's deck and heal according to the number of aspects flipped. He's great for heal. The only thing you don't want to see when you have him on the field is a Boba Fett unit, because a Boba Fett unit can take him out in one swing, and he can't trade, and costing 4 gets a bit tricky, but he does have the heroic symbol, so Luke can give him a shield. The thing about Luke is, though, you can only give them a shield the turn they're played, so that's the only downside of that. But there are some cards in here that really make up for that. Baze Malvis. I only run 2 of this because having the initiative is... Normally you have the initiative because you're just going to play something and then pass. Sometimes you might even not attack if you know you have this in hand and you can set it up for the next turn, but just giving you another option of Sentinel and another thing to do on turn 4. So you have, or turn 3, excuse me. I play a 2 of Ozatuk, 3/4 with Ambush. Like I said, you don't have the Bright Hope, so we have the Falcon and the Liberator gunship to help with the space side of things as far as your aggressive matchups go. This deck runs 3 Vanquish. You're not running, you don't get the ability to run Avengers. I mean, I guess you could, but you're never getting that far. You don't get to run Avengers or Devastators or anything like that. So, or the big green units like Home 1 or Reinforcement Walker. So Vanquish is kind of like your answer to those things, and it can also help you out in a tight spot. Obviously, it's a non-leader unit, but it gets rid of anything. So I really like this card. I like it more than Takedown because most of the things in your deck can take care of anything that Takedown would take care of anyways, and this just fills in the gap of those bigger late game threats. So I really like having that card, and it never felt too slow to me. The all-star of the deck is Chewbacca, because if you play Chewbacca on his deploy turn, he deploys on 6. So you play a Chewbacca, and I don't know, maybe they attack into it or whatever, and he restands. You automatically get to give him a shield, and a shielded Chewbacca is just a complete nightmare for any aggressive deck. And then when he flips, you can attack and give him another shield. It gets nasty with Chewbacca. It makes them really stop and think if they don't have that little 1-drop that makes them lose Sentinel. But we run a lot of Sentinels in this deck. This is a Sentinel deck, which is funny because Chewbacca, the leader's known as the Sentinel deck, but I like Luke. He's a lot better than Chewbacca because you're running Sentinels anyway, so you get the ability for that. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was very low on this card. When I played Han, when I played Blue Han, I didn't really care for this card. I wanted 7s, not 6s. But in this deck, it's a methodical type thing. You don't have the ramp, so it's Sentinel, 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 and then stall. And then this really helps in the late game because it makes all of your things that are 3/4s, 3/6s, 2/3s, it makes them that much bigger. And if you have the Luke leader out, or you have Kanan out, you also get to draw a card when he's defeated. And like I said, he's got the Sentinel, he comes out, you attack, you give him a shield, it just buys you all the time in the world. You're able to attack with your Sentinels while they're sitting there having to wonder, okay, now I got to take out an Obi-Wan, and then an Obi-Wan, a Chewbacca, and all these different Sentinels. So this is a high Sentinel deck. So main reason to play Luke, I guess, is Luke Skywalker unit, MVP, best card in the deck. I was able to put some damage on a Devastator and take it out with a Luke Skywalker and clinch the game from there. This game, I mean, this card is just so versatile. It's good against any deck. It's good against Boba. If you make it to 7 against Sabine, which is pretty easy in this deck, this just crushes Sabine. It crushes aggro, and against control, the 6/7 body is pretty hard to deal with, because they don't have like an instant way to get rid of it unless they have Vanquish or if they have Super Laser Blast. But there's some cards in this deck that can easily take care of those things for you. You run a 1 of Redemption. I didn't end up playing this any, but testing it, I played against a deck and was able to heal the full 8. Sometimes you have to do the math, and if you're playing against Boba Fett, you need to consider them having a shoot first. If you're wanting to drop it down to where it can block a Fett's Fire Spray and still live, you want to consider them having a strike, the one that gives +3/+0, or the one, or shoot first. When healing damage off of this, if you're wanting it to stick around. But otherwise, if you're playing against an aggressive deck, if you make it to 8, normally I cut this anyways against the aggressive deck, so it might be on the chopping block anyways. But it is heroic, so if you do somehow have 9 resources, you can give it a shield with Luke, which is just disgusting. You're in yellow, the best card in the game right now, I feel like, Spark of the Rebellion. You get to play 3. This deck is very good against control decks because of the main deck, Spark of Rebellions, because of the Yoda's drawing cards, because of just things that happen whenever they're defeated and you get to draw cards. And I'll show you a little bit of my sideboard, kind of goes more into that, but the main board, Spark of Rebellion, really helped a lot in the control matchups. I run a 1 of Cunning. This actually won me a game against Blonde Sabine. It won, I mean, the entire match, which was the 4th round of Swiss, and I was at 26 damage. I had to fade the 4 cause, but he dropped a K2SO, my buddy Lou, and I was able to return it to his hand. This one's 4 less, so it returned the K2 to his hand and then gave my Luke +4/+0, and my Luke already had a +2/+2 from an earlier Obi-Wan. So it was just like a massive swing, and that was game. So I played a 1 of. I was only playing a 1 of because I only own 2 Vigilance right now. I'm about to get a 3rd, but the Cunning's very nice. Vigilance, very versatile. In my Boba match that I lost in top 4, I didn't really feel like I liked this card. I feel like I would have liked Cunning a lot more than Vigilance. So I'll do some testing on that. But in the Sabine matchup, Vigilance is king. So it was just a great card. And against control, you don't even have to worry about trying to mill them out. They're not going to mill you out. You have the Sparks. You have just so much recursion in this deck with Yoda drawing cards, Obi-Wan drawing a card if it's defeated and you own Luke. So I wouldn't even go that route. You can just easily be the aggressor with Millennium Falcon. Millennium Falcon is probably Control's worst nightmare. I don't know. And then next up, the spiciest inclusion is a 3 of Entrenched. And 9 times out of 10, actually 10 times out of 10, when I played this card, it was on my own unit. Playing this on a Sentinel is just backbreaking against any type of aggro deck. If you put this on a System Patrol Craft, if you put this on a Cloud City Wingguard, you're just so far ahead. I even put this on a Greedo a couple of times and was able to just clear out units until it just went away. If you're playing against Boba Fett, I wouldn't put this on any of your units because of Waylay. But once you flip Luke and if you put an Entrenched on them, it's very hard for them to win the game. They can no good to me dead them, yeah, that's an option. But just having this giant Luke Skywalker, or any mid-range match, if you're able to entrench your Luke Skywalker and just give shields to all of your Sentinels, that's just a great play. And I guess if they did drop a Devastator or an Avenger and you didn't have an answer for it, you have an answer for it, and entrenched. So my control matchups went pretty smoothly. One Sabine was the closest win I had. I lost game 1 pretty quickly. Game 2, I was really far ahead, and then game 3, it was really close. But the red Leia deck, I was able to take that one pretty quickly. Another reason the control matchup's pretty good in this deck is because I sideboard 3 Bodies. So having another thing that just strips another card out of their hand. Like I said, blue control, it's all about card advantage when you're playing against control, and they really rely on Super Laser Blast and things like Avenger to kind of get them ahead cards, because they don't really have card draw. So having Bodies and Spark of Rebellions is huge. I also bring in 3 Ezra Bridgers because this card can easily get taken out by a shoot first, but or just bypassed altogether by a wing leadered big unit. But in the control matchup, having the option to just, like I said, the card advantage. So as you can see, my sideboard was heavy into control. There was a decent amount of control there. Next up, I put in 2 Waylay. I took out 2 Making Openings. I probably would put the Making Openings back, or just find a better layout of the deck for the boba matchup. Because the boba matchup, I won game 1 pretty handily, and then game 2 and 3 it was just, I made a really big misplay where they were on 4 resources with a super laser tech out, and I had the ability to either play a Spark of Rebellion or play Baze Malbus. And I was like, I don't know, I don't want to waste my turn not playing a unit with them being able to flip boba next turn because I had a restored arc. So I played the Baze, and as soon as I did, they attacked into it, which I was expecting. They flipped boba, and then they steadfast battalion over the Baze, and it was just, they were just so far ahead. I had nothing in the ground unit, so if I would have just sparked, got the steadfast out, I could have slowed the game down and potentially been able to win that one. But you know, live and learn. I also run 2 Devotion just to bring in as well for the Sabine matchup, or Leia, any type of aggro matchup. And for Devotion, I took out, let's see, I took out the Redemption just because I never got to the Redemption against them. I was either winning so handedly by that point or losing so handedly by that point. There was no point in even playing that card. But yeah, check out Epic Action Gaming. I've got my other Han list that won a store championship. A huge shout out to my good pal Lou from Epic Action Gaming. He actually won this event with Yellow Sabine. He was the one I played in round 4. In top 4, he got paired up with another one of our members, Thomas, who was on Green Krennic. So he made top 4 as well. So it was a great night. Other buddy Benji, he made top 8. So yeah, give a like and subscribe, and catch y'all on the flip.